lovely paintings, eh? And of course Adam's all muscly, handsome. Eve's all blonde and pretty, yeah, with all white children, all this sort of stuff, right? Yeah, okay. So this had very important implications for life, etc., etc. We're all equal with God, women and men, etc., etc. Going on about Scripture, talking about Scripture. All human beings came from a single race. Yeah, these spiritual human beings. They are meant to be spiritual, of the descendants of Adam and Eve, not the Neanderthals. But later on we became mixed with the Neanderthals because they interbred, right? So we are the hybrids. Science has proved that we're hybrids. Then they all went wild. Okay? And of course you had different regions where these descendants had occupied, and the other ones thought, well, they got this, they got that, we're jealous, we want that, we're lacking, so we need that. So we'll go there and invade them. So they were basically killing off their cousins, weren't they? Yeah. So here it's telling you that he was punished. He went to the land of wandering, east of Eden, and he married his sister there, which we just proved is wrong. And then Cain built a city named after Enosh. Okay, and many wicked men came from him, like Lamech, who was the first bigamist. Second murder in history, etc. Genesis 4:24 would have covered that. Abel, on the other hand, was the first martyr. He was the first one killed, murdered by Cain. Biblical history, and so forth. So hopefully this doesn't mess up for us. We may have to do a second part if it just doesn't work for us anymore, for whatever reason. Probably our updates are running in the background or something. Okay, so Abel was the first martyr. He died because of his faith and obedience to God. God accepting his offering. Okay, look at everybody there. Even the old people are muscly. They must work out at Les Mills or something, or some gym. Okay, Abel was a righteous man. God rewarded him with eternal life. Okay. And look at this picture. It looks like Jesus the Christ, does it not? And he looks very handsome, very Greek. Hebrews 11 verse 13, and again to that, to the New Testament. Okay. Seth, what was that? Go back here, we just missed it. It's going a bit too fast here, we might have to slow it down. Guts is hungry. Seth means appointed or designated. Actually means he's like a replacement. Is that Seth? No, let's have a look. Stop this and have a look. Don't want to steer you wrong. Where's that Seth? Go back to 4. Seth. What does it actually mean in the original language? What does it mean? She called his name Seth. What does it mean in that original language? 425, literal Aramaic word, she'et, instead, or in place of. Okay? So it's not saying designated, as they're claiming here. Adam and Eve had another son whom they named Seth. In place of Abel, whom Cain killed, correct? Seth means appointed or designated, and was the son chosen by God to continue the line of the righteous. Okay, in that sense, yeah, he probably was, but the name Seth or She'et doesn't mean designated, it means instead or in place of in the original ancient Aramaic. And yeah, okay, they continued the line of the righteous. It ended there eventually because that line that led up to Joseph, they're all corrupt. They did these things against God, sinned against God. Maybe they were taken out, all that sort of stuff. But Mary's line remained righteous. Okay, so that's part of God's amazing plan. How He prophesied the promised Messiah will be born of a virgin, etc., etc., and then centuries later, for BC or whatever, he's born to this virgin, this blessed Mary, right? Blessed amongst women, all this sort of stuff, because she's the chosen one, right? To be the Son of God, God incarnate in the flesh. Okay, she was specially chosen. So yeah, Joseph supposedly part of the line of David, lineage of David, and Mary also. So they would have been possibly distant cousins or something, you know, but from two separate lines, but they, yeah, connected to the king of David and his line, Solomon's line. But they weren't brother and sister or anything like that. Okay, from Noah, descendants, etc. Okay, so we're going to leave it there, because I think we covered enough on that. I think they're maybe going to dwell into the Middle Old Testament era. Okay, I think we've done enough on that. We've covered it. So here is some other or further information about the pre-Adamite hypothesis or pre-Adism, the theological belief that humans or intelligent yet non-human creatures existed before the biblical character Adam. Pre-Adamism is therefore distinct from the conventional Abrahamic belief that Adam was the first human. Pre-Adamite is used as a term both for those humans or human-like animals. Well, we'll say they had animal-like instincts. Cave dwellers, hunter-gatherers, cavemen, believed to exist before Adam, and for believers or proponents of this hypothesis. Early development. The first known debate about human antiquity took place in 170 AD between a Christian theosophist, etc. In early Islam, a common belief that mankind is actually the successor of other intelligent creatures such as jinn and hen, etc. So it's information here. And then you have the Age of Enlightenment. Then you have racist pre-Adamism. 19th century Europe, pre-Adamism was attracted to those who were intent on demonstrating the inferiority of non-Western people. That would be the Mexicans, the Chinese, the black people, the Jews, etc. And in the United States, it appealed to those who were attuned to racial theories but found it unattractive to contemplate a common history with non-whites. Scientists such as Charles Caldwell, Josiah C. Nott, and Samuel G. Morton rejected the view that non-whites were the descendants of Adam. Morton combined pre-Adamism with cranial measurements, as Michael Barkham explains, and goes through that there. And in 1860, Isabella Duncan wrote Pre-Adamite Man, or the Story of Our Old Planet and Its Inhabitants, Told by Scripture and Science, a mixture of geology and scriptural interpretation. The book was popular among a number of geologists because it mixed biblical events with science. She suggested that the Pre-Adamites are today's angels. No. Since they were without sin, for sin did not enter into the world until Adam disobeyed God. Well, the devil brought it into the world, right into man. Okay, there was no reason for them not to have been at least raptured into heaven, etc. And Buckner H. Payne, writing under the name Ariel, published a pamphlet titled "The Negro: What is His Ethnological Status?" And it's all racist, right? Probably. And someone else got onto that, and someone else. And basically these Christian identity and groups like that, they said, oh, they're the beasts of the field, black people, blah, 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 all this rubbish. Non-racist pre-Adamism. The occult, Pascal Beverly Randolph published Pre-Adamite Man, demonstrating the existence of the human race upon the earth 100,000 years ago, under the name Griffin Lee in 1863. It took a primarily scientific view of pre-Adamism, relying on evidence from linguistics, anthropology, archaeology, paleontology, and ancient history. Being a polygenist, Randolph argued that the colour of races, particularly black, was not the result of climate and was proof of separate pre-Adamic origins. Okay, what we've found is that these people that come out of the Ark, they're probably in Armenia, the flat valley there, the Ark's rested on there, and then they spread out. They have their children, they have their children, their children, their children, and they end up branching out, and they go into different areas. Some go, say, wander into, or they're predestined to wander into certain areas, like the descendants of Ham, one of Noah's sons, went to Put, Mithraim or Egypt, Canaan, etc. So there it's all desert region, very, very hot. Okay, so the sun beating down on their skin, uncovered skin, every day, all day, every day, 365, 24/7, 365, would have affected their skin. So their skin's got to evolve over time, got to adapt to it, get used to it. Okay, and put up some sort of protection so you don't get skin cancer and your race dies off, or your people dies off, right? That sort of thing. Go have a look at skin specialists. They might know all this sort of stuff. They'll be able to tell you all that. The experts in epidermal, all this sort of stuff, skin, and they may tell you. They may be like a scientist. Have that scientist research that they look and they say, yeah, that's right. Okay. So not everyone come out and stayed white. Okay, so there would have been different shades of peoples, right? Depending on that climate. So it's like the Chinese. It's been proven that Asians, right? You go into they went into these certain areas where it's freezing cold, blizzards, all that sort of stuff. Maybe Eskimos, and their eyes adapt to that constant blizzard, right? And it adds this extra layer, this protection. It makes your eyes more, not being racist or prejudiced or anything here, but more closed, right? More slitty. Okay, not saying slanty, we're saying slitty. Yeah, so don't take us the wrong way, because that protected their eyes from the constant snow blowing, right? So they don't go blind and all that sort of stuff. It's the body adapting to that environment, evolving and adapting to that environment. Yeah. Like you could go to, say, somewhere really, really hot, a desert region, and put on all these clothes and sweat to death. Yeah, you get too damn hot. You naturally got to take it off because it's too damn hot. You can't wear these animal skins, furry things in this hot desert. It's just too damn hot. Okay, and you look stupid, right? You're sweating up large. Someone would probably say, "Hey, man, take that stuff off, man. Get some sun on you." Yeah, but then you go into a highly 0.0 area, freezing cold, and you've got all these, you just got a loincloth on you and you're running around and you're wondering why you're shivering, your teeth is chattering and you're freezing to death, and some other one that's covered in fur, animal skins with it says, "Idiot, it's freezing cold out there, put these on, that's why you're shivering and you're turning blue, put these on, idiot," that sort of thing. Okay, so you adapt to your environment. So this guy's saying, "Oh, no. He didn't go dark because the environment's rubbish." Well, he's obviously talking rubbish. Okay, it's logic and common sense. If I go into the desert, it's like this example, right? World War II, you have the British going around in their jeeps, destroying German ammo dumps. Okay, they're out there in the desert. They grow beards. They wear turbans. And they start to go from a whitish colour, they start going red, then they start getting a bit of darker hue, right? Not necessarily black, African black, but they start to get darker, right? Because the sun's continually beating on them, on their skin that's uncovered, their legs, their arms, their face, whatever, right? Okay? It's like that song that says, I went into the desert on a horse with no name. It's good to be out of the rain. After 3 days in the desert sun, my skin began to turn red. That's the process. This singer knew that, okay, we're white. We go out in the sun for a few days. We were going to go red first, right? And we have his stepfather that was English, pure English, right? From Yorkshire, Belden, England. And he sat out in the sun, and he had a nickname for himself, the Pink Pig, right? And we virtually saw him go red. Okay? He burned because he didn't have that melanin or whatever to handle that, be brown like us Maori or whatever, we go brown and all that sort of stuff, right? We don't need to. We do get the same problems. We can get melanoma, etc., from too much sun. You get badass suntan, sunburn, all that sort of stuff. We're still susceptible to that, but at least we go brown. Go really a darker hue. We don't necessarily turn black because they're not African. We go a lighter brown or a darker brown. A darker shade, right? They're different. They burn first, and then they start not necessarily go brown. It looks like they're going brown. They look more like they're going ginger, right? Englishmen, right? With freckles in that, and then they might eventually look like they're darker. They don't go black, okay? So you can't say all men were born black or this sort of stuff. It's just total rubbish. No, it was black. God was black. Everybody was black. Even the tree over there was black, or this sort of Hebrew Israelite nonsense. Okay, because they're trying to find their lost identity. We understand. We sympathise with that, right? We know because people in our country started getting into the Bob Marley Rasta thing. Running around trying to talk Jamaican and all that sort of stuff. Jar said this and Jar said that. Like, you don't know crap, man. You're just repeating, you're parroting something you don't really know nothing about, or somebody's told you, right? Okay, so here's all the history here. Okay. And all these claims. See, this is, what do you call them? Christian identity in their claim. This guy Payne suggested that the Negro is a pre-Adamic beast of the field, specifically a higher order of monkey. So, well, that's sort of crap, according to the scriptures, when it doesn't even say that. Okay, they're twisting it. When God created the beast of the field, He wasn't saying, "Well, I just created the black man, and I decided to, as a joke, to make him a monkey." No, it's all a load of rubbish. Okay, the Irish Laura Dominic McCausland, a biblical literist and anti-Darwinian polemicist, maintained the theory in order to uphold the Mosaic timescale. He believed that the Chinese were descended from Cain, and he also believed that the Caucasian race would eventually exterminate all other races. Charles Manson was claiming the same things, right? Oh, there's going to be a gigantic uprising, race war. The darkie's going to overcome the whitey, but the whitey's going to lead him, all this sort of stuff. All this sort of crap. Hasn't happened yet, but yeah, different things sort of are setting that off over the last 10 years or so, and it appeared that way. And he tried to explain away the existence of the numerous non-Caucasian civilizations by attributing all of them to a vanished Caucasian race, the Hamites. In 1875, A. Lester Hoyle wrote his book, The Pre-Adamite, or Who Tempted Eve. In his book, he claimed that there had been 5 distinct creations of races, but only the 5th race, the white race, of which Adam was the father, had been made in God's own image and likeness. Hoyle further suggested that Cain was the mongrel offspring of Eve's being seduced by an enticing Mongolian. Yeah, that's the one. That's what we talked about earlier. That this Mongolian snuck up behind her and says, "Hey, yeah, did God really say you couldn't touch the tree? Look here, I touched the tree and look, nothing happened." Okay. From that story, with whom she had repeated trysts, and thus laying the foundation for the white supremacist biotheology that miscegenation was an abomination. So that she got jumped by this Mongolian, all this sort of crap, right? Rubbish, total rubbish. Okay, and these other guys are trying to say the same thing under different pen names, so you wouldn't find out who they were, knock on their house and burn it down. A witch hunt, right? Like your poles, your torches, and get your pitchfork. We're off to get this guy, right? We know where he lives because he's given his name, his real name. So they write under a pen name for protection, right? Okay. In the United States, philo-Semitic British Israelism developed into the anti-Semitic Christian identity movement. Okay, anti-Semite, the anti-Jew, anti-other race, which is an interpretation of Christianity which advocates the belief that only Celtic or Celtic and Germanic peoples such as the Anglo-Saxon Nordic nations or peoples of the Aryan race and people of kindred blood are the descendants of the ancient Israelites and all this sort of stuff. But they don't realise that the Aryan, the Caucasian, is a mixture, okay, of Indian, whites, etc., in that area, in that time period. It wasn't just solely white. Okay, so he's trying to say Cain married a pre-Adamite, his descendants were a mongrel hybrid race, and all this sort of rubbish. Okay, and there's further references and information there. Okay, you have the evidence for out of Africa. The out of Africa model is the theory that the Homo genus migrated out from Africa to populate the rest of the world. Oxford University Professor of Archaeology Science Tom Higham explains the model and the research that has supported it, and so forth. Okay, we don't believe that. We believe that it was one giant landmass. Okay, had no names, so anybody could have walked into there, walked out of there, that particular geographical location, and dwelt somewhere else. But according to the scriptures, Abraham's descendants, who came out of Canaan, migrated to Africa, mixed with some other tribe there, these Cushites, etc., and with a C, capital C, and created this new tribe called the Cushites with a K. Okay, different peoples because they're a mixture, hybrids, black intermerging with white or white intermerging with black people, right? These tribes. So that's what we believe because that's what we found in scripture, etc. Okay, so all this out of Africa stuff, yeah, okay. But here it says people came from right across the globe, Africa all the way to Australasia. Now in 1987, and that particular time probably this article, a really important paper published in the journal Nature by Alan Wilson, the great biologist and molecular evolutionist. He's an evolutionist, but it may be that, you know, he's into the molecular adaptation, evolving, molecules evolving, not so much Darwinism, right? Along with two very bright graduate students, Becky Cann, who was the first author of the paper, and Mark Stoneking. And what they did was they took 147 modern humans and they analysed their mitochondrial DNA. So these are not ancient humans, these are modern humans. Okay, so their DNA could be, and the genetics and stuff could be very, very different because they're hybrids. And what they found was that in Africa there was a greater diversity in the mitochondrial DNA than there was outside. So everybody outside has less diversity, and this is consistent with a model that suggests that a small subpopulation of Africans moved out of Africa and populated the rest of the world. And this is the reason for this disparity in the diversity. And this model, which has variously been called out of Africa, okay, when was Africa called Africa? Centuries later, wasn't it? Was it by the Romans or by somebody else? The recent out of Africa, the recent African model and mentioning of course the mitochondrial Eve, and you have a look on sacredtext.com under Africa or African, it's got that there. It has been proven through mitochondrial DNA that a certain amount of people 60,000 years ago, a group of 100 people, they were in Africa, okay? So it could be the complete opposite. They could have come from the Near East, moved down into a certain location which was not yet known as Africa, right? Intermingled, intermarried with these others, these Africans or these black people or whatever. These people, let's drop the Africans, let's just say darker people, and they had these offspring, these hybrids, half black, half white, whatever, right? Okay. So they're trying to say that there was a mitochondrial Eve that gave birth to everybody else, coming from Africa. Okay. In the recent out of Africa, the recent African model and mentioning of course the mitochondrial Eve, there was a thing we came across where only it was all to do with the male chromosome. They left out the female chromosome, but they found that the woman had the same exact chromosomes as the male. Is it the X or something like that? I can't remember exactly, but yes, information we found ages ago. Okay, so they both had it, not where they were formerly said only one had it, the male. Okay, the certain chromosome. Okay, so mitochondrial Eve has focused upon this idea that ultimately every modern person is an African. Every modern person. Okay, it's not saying ancient. Okay, that's where we got to look at the words. Look at the words in the sentence and define them. Fully understand what they're talking about. Or so you got to take it out of concept. You got to think, oh, this is these people 60,000 years ago. No, in this article, it's saying every modern person is an African originally. Yeah, it goes way back. You're a modern person, but originally, way back, you are African. You came from Africa, and that is the cradle of humankind. Okay, apparently Mesopotamia is, according to scriptures, according to Mesopotamian history, world history, etc. The cradle of civilization was Mesopotamia, but in the sense of civilization, meaning that they were civil. They weren't fighting each other for this and that, whereas Egypt eventually became a civilization. They got together, they united, and they fought off their enemies, invaders, but they worked as one people, so there's a difference there. It's very interesting too, of course, remember that Charles Darwin predicted this. Okay, so they're probably Darwin orientated, right? Darwin predicted Africa would be the source for the evolution of humanity, and this was based on the common ancestral idea, and he was dead right. Of course he would be dead right if they were Darwinists, right? Okay, evolutionists, they'd agree with him. And time again we find that Africa is the engine room for evolution of the Homo genus. Okay, so if you're not of God, you don't believe in God, we're not saying you're necessarily saying you're atheist, right? But you don't believe in God, you say no, science has proven this and we believe this. Not what the Bible says, that's all mythical, fairy tales, whatever. Okay,
according to our research, we have found, okay, of course you're going to come up with that. Even if you found like, we looked at a documentary where there's like 45 scientists working in different departments, and a lot of them realised they were atheists or whatever, skeptics. Wow, there has to be something or someone that created all this. Okay, for these things to be living, atoms, molecules, etc., something behind it is the creator, the generator, makes these things come to life, right? They don't just work on their own. There's something behind it, this force behind it. So a lot of them converted, okay, but a lot of them don't, because they're predominantly atheists behind the scenes. They don't believe in God or this stuff. They say, well, science proves this, science says that, so we're scientists, we're this, that, so we're going to go with that. Okay, we make up excuses, right? They know the truth, but they cover it up because they're not interested in that. Okay, well, they could possibly be paid to do that. Who knows? Okay, so that's information there. What's this? Acts, Book of Acts. Okay, so here's that verse that they mentioned in that video. And he has made from one blood every nation of men to dwell on the face of the earth, and has determined their pre-appointed times and the boundaries of their dwellings, so that they should seek the Lord in the hope that they might grope for him and find him, though he is not far from each one of us. For in him we live and move and have our being, as also some of your own poets have said, for we are also his offspring. Okay, so with these Neanderthals, okay, of the Brita, okay, or Genesis, that this translator Victor N. Alexander is talking about here in Brita or Genesis 1:28, okay, that God first made them to resemble his own visage. They had his face, right? They had his likeness. He created them male and female. Okay? They, according to his theory of the Aborigine, are like these men who are animalistic. Okay, they get into politics, they get into this, they get into that, and they start wars, corrupt, all this sort of stuff. They're animal-like. Okay, they're following their animal instincts, their animal nature. These are those, what he terms Aboriginal or Neanderthal. They're getting it from that DNA, etc., etc. But they will never be anything different but, okay, until they finally wake up and realise that they need God, they need the Christ in their life, then they become a complete human being. That's in accordance to Victor N. Alexander's website entry on his translation project, The Theory of the Aborigine. We've already covered that before. If we can find it again in one of our videos, we will post it up as an end screen. Okay, so we're going to leave it at that. So we say be very careful when it comes to this kind of video, making these claims, and it's not scriptural. You have to do the research. You have to really look further beyond your translations to find out, is this person actually telling us the truth, or is he pulling the wool over our eyes, intentionally or unintentionally? Okay, because Satan can work, the devil can work through different people who you assume are holy rollers, but they're really not. They're actors, they're role players, they're half-halves. They've got 1 foot in the world and 1 foot in the kingdom of God, right? They're pretenders, all that sort of stuff. Okay, anyone can say, I'm a Christian, but don't go to church. I'm a Christian, but I drink and smoke and do the weed. Yeah, I'm a Christian, all this sort of stuff, right? We've come across people like that within our own family. Okay, 1 minute, at first they're saying to us, yeah, we're Christians. I'm a Christian. Right? And even someone asks you some questions because you're of that faith, right? And you, maybe a niece or whoever, right? Somebody younger, they've got questions, right? Because my dad said this, my dad said that, and you poo-pooed it, whatever. So what's your take on it? So you try to explain it to them. They walk in and they say, yeah, what you talking about that rubbish for? That crap, you know, or that baloney. Bro, a couple of days ago you said you was a Christian. What happened, bro? You know, they're just a Christian by name. To make them look good, like a goody-goody, where they wear a crucifix. Yeah, I wear this because I'm a Christian. But some of them come out and they say, I'm a total atheist. What the hell are you doing wearing a crucifix there, bro? Oh, it's a nice piece of jewellery. Isn't that hypocritical? You get the odd one like that, right? Oh, it's just an ornament. We're not into that garbage. Or you're talking with someone who's asking you questions, and someone in your family's like giving that person the side eye, and he's on about that again. Yeah, that sort of stuff, right? You just sort of catch that out of the corner of your eye. Okay? Okay, because they're of the world, they don't want to hear that. Yet they'll say, oh, why is my life like this? You know, why is God and all of this, or this sort of stuff? Oh, God help me, you know, and all this sort of crap. You know, they seem to call on God when they're in times of trouble. Why is my life so ruined? Oh, God did this to me. Oh, why doesn't He help me? All this sort of rubbish, right? Okay? You've got to use Him as a scapegoat. Okay? And then some people will say, wow, you are so completely different from this guy from this church, this religion, you're more down to earth. This person's like, all of you. We had a friend, had a child we were working at. He came into the tea room and he's like 7-day Adventist, ex-Roman Catholic, you know, part of a convent, a lesbian lady, yeah, really a real man disliker from what she said. And the faces she pulled, and he comes in, he's like, all you 7-day Adventists and you Roman Catholics, you Jehovah's Witnesses, all going to burn in hell. I was like, oh my gosh, God, this is the wrong time, the wrong moment to be saying that. We work together, keep that for a Sunday, man, or outside, you know. And these people started getting anti against him, like, shut up, you know, all this sort of stuff. And then started a big argument there. It's like, oh mate, you had to come in and say that. You know, wrong time, wrong moment, bro. You had to try and explain to him, you know. Yeah, that's how some people are. Alright? Or another friend, his friend, Christian friend, he meets us at lunchtime over some event where this guy asked us, or a moment where this guy asked us, because he smokes weed, being a Christian, goes to church, went to church with him, whatever. He's a nice guy. But he was into the weed, and another guy that we'd known since he was younger, heavily covered in tattoos or whatever, working there as a caregiver or whatever. He says, yeah, this guy buys the weed on Thursday, or this sort of stuff. Yeah, this sort of stuff. He come out and he asked, why does God not like us smoking weed? He said, why was it put on the earth? And we explained it to him. You know, probably for medicinal purposes, not for overuse and abuse. And he said, well, that's a great idea. So this other guy, his friend Paul, this hardcore Christian guy, he comes along the next couple of days, and he's like talking outside, and he says, oh yeah, this guy is saying that, you know, you're talking to him about weed and all this. I said, yeah, hopefully I gave him the best, you know, explanation as why did God put it on the planet, all that sort of stuff. And he said, yeah, he seemed quite happy and all this, but unbeknown to us, this guy went to this guy's house the next night, banged the hell out of his door. He just put his kids to sleep. They were like 10 or 11 or whatever, younger. It just settled down, and they started crying and screaming and carrying on because he's bashing the door down. Open up, open up, open up. Right? And so he opens the door and he goes, what the hell? Oh, how you doing, Paul? Right? And this guy's, you know, yelling in his face, you said about weed and all this sort of stuff. And he said, yeah, we just had a discussion, just asked the questions, right? Me and him had already confirmed it, right? Everything was all hunky-dory. So I had to go there and be a dick, right? So this guy comes running up the stairs next day when I'm talking to another friend. I think he might have been living with us at the time because he had wife problems or whatever. Great guy, right? He was the laundry man, you know, get the dirty clothing and all that sort of stuff from these patients' rooms and whatever, these bins or whatever they were, right? These trolleys, and take them to the laundry for this lady to wash them and iron them or whatever, right? And take them back, these towels or whatever, right? He goes running up and he's like real furious. Oh, I should punch your face and all this because you said blah, blah, blah to this guy I was smoking weed. I was like, oh my gosh. What's the story here? And he says, oh, this guy, after you told him, we had that discussion, he came to my house and knocked the door down at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night, disturbed my children, made them cry, all that sort of stuff. And he started going on about, oh, you smoke weed and all this stuff, right? Said, oh my gosh, this guy's a total knob, right? And I explained to him, okay, if you're going to punch me head, and I don't think I'm wrong, but yeah, this guy in his mouth went there and told you this, and he's twisted it, right? You know? So, you know, you need to tell that guy to shut up, you know? he got it all wrong. But that's how they were. And then one day we came from church, and this other guy had followed us to this house where he stayed, not far from us. We lived down the road, right? A few years back. And this guy was going on about God, blah, 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 usual thing, right? And so I started falling asleep in the car. And he said, God, because what's the problem with this guy is he'd say something like, and God said, blah, blah, blah. And then you're trying to think about that, right? What he said. And you go, but Jesus said. And you go, oh, yeah. So you're trying to think about the first thing, and then trying to listen to the second thing, trying to figure out what he's talking about, and you jump back to the first thing, the third thing, the fourth thing. So you're totally confused, right? So you end up because it's monotonous, you end up falling asleep. So this other guy had followed us, and I got out, went to go back into this house. These people looking out the window, because as I walked up to the door to go into the house and actually went in there, they started arguing. Oh, you got a big mouth. Because this guy was telling me as I was walking away, don't listen to this guy. He goes to church, but don't listen to this guy. He does drugs. He's always on the weed, or this sort of stuff. And this guy's like, shut the hell up. What I do with my personal life is, it's my... Yeah, it's like when someone smokes, they got to give it up eventually, right? But they expect you to give it up as soon as you converted to, you accepted Jesus or whatever. Boom! Instantly, like instant noodles. 2 minutes, you got to give it up, right? It's a habit. It's an addiction. It's a habit that's built up over a number of years. It's your addiction. It soon becomes your addiction, right? So you can't just break it, right? Apparently, it takes 67 days to create this habit, so it's going to take you even longer to break it, right? But this guy was in his face, so they're both arguing. Oh my gosh, went inside, and these people are saying, what's wrong with those two clowns out there? I don't know. This one is going on about scripture, and this one's going on about this guy. Don't listen to this guy because he smokes weed. And they're just arguing with each other. It's like, oh my gosh. That sort of thing. People need to stop and think before they open their pie hole, right? They need to know what they're talking about through research, okay? Because we have realised the other day about Islam and their monotheism. Originally, it was that concept of monotheism where God was one. He was three, yet he is one. Muhammad couldn't understand the triune, the Trinity, so he dropped it in favour of him creating a unique religion for him and his people alone, exclusively for his people. He didn't understand it, that's why he dropped it. Okay? So they had, like the Jews, if you look at their books, what we've done lately, is they had this monotheism, that this God was three, but he was one. Okay? Not three separate persons, even though they could separate for a time, for a purpose or plan or whatever they had, come back together, right? But essentially they were one, monotheistic. Okay, with a hint of polytheism, but they were actually monotheistic. Same with Indian religions, etc. Originally they probably were monotheistic, but somewhere along the way some later disciples decided, boring, we want something different. Oh, okay, so we'll add this, we'll add that, we have a pantheon of gods, this god did that, that goddess did that. All that sort of stuff as the Greeks and all that did as well, right? Okay, so all these religions, even the Chinese, the Han Dynasty or something, or some guy like that, we saw the other day in this video, this Christian guy talking, this lady saying it in Chinese, and then he's explaining it, that this king or whatever he was in this certain century, he had the monotheistic God, right? Belief in this one God, but it appeared to be the triune God, right? Okay, and then somewhere later on they introduced Confucianism, Buddhism, which had no God or had multiple gods. Okay, all this sort of stuff. Okay, so yeah, they all had these monotheistic God, but somewhere along the way somebody changed it, corrupted it. But you have to go do your research on that. You can't just go, ooh, Muslim, ooh, Hindu, all that sort of stuff. They're the devil. You've got to have a reason why they're the devil through your personal research. Okay, you don't just come off the top of your head and go, ooh, it's a new church. Oh, they're the devil. Straight away. You don't know nothing about them. Oh, he's Satan. They're copies of Satan. All this sort of stuff. It's like, that's, what do you call that? Prejudice, bias. You got a hidden motive, agenda, and propaganda. Okay? Because they're the competition, the opposition, they're the competition, possible competition, and you want to be up on the hierarchy ladder, you're the chosen, you're the one with the exact scriptures, right? No errors. God gave it to you. Your mighty prophet had a vision. Gabriel, the angel, told him this and all that sort of stuff. Or you had a vision, you had a near-death experience, all this crap. Because you've got to attract the audience, don't you? Okay, so you try all this deceit, trickery, okay, to try and convince these people to form this congregation, this church or whatever, right? Putting out all this false information there. Like there's a lot from Nigeria saying, I'm God, I'm Jesus, because baptism is standing in the rain, not what John the Baptist did, all that sort of crap, right? Or another one from Korea trying to embezzle all the money out of the Korean students, their student loans, their fees to their different universities and stuff like that for different things they're trying to earn a degree in, or a master's, or a PhD in eventually, right? Oh, Christ just appointed me his replacement, so you need to give me all your money. That sort of crap, and people believe it. God was really a woman, and it's this woman here, she's Jesus, and all this sort of rubbish. You got to be very, very careful. So that's what we, the ministry of the real truth, are really about. So all these people out there that say, ministry of the real truth, blah, 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 all this sort of stuff, they're taking us out of context. Okay, we're looking at, and other people as well, we're looking at what you're saying, what these churches globally, these congregations, these movements, these small cults, Hebrew Israelites, whatever, these organized religions are saying, their rabbis, their evangelists, preachers, ministers, their Islamic imams are saying. We're doing the research on it and looking behind the scenes. It's called investigative journalism. You find the dirt, if it's there, on these people, and you expose them on that. Okay, you're not necessarily holding a grudge against them. Okay, you're just saying, well, look at this guy, Billy Graham. Secretly, as an example, secretly, behind the scenes, he was Freemasonic. He said this about the Jews, his anti-Semitic, all this sort of stuff. This guy said this guy said that, okay? And you're trying to verify, did he actually say that? Okay, because some people will come along and say, no, it's all rubbish. It's not like that. Roman Catholicism doesn't believe that purgatory is a place. This woman here, who's supposed to be a mystic seer or whatever, she said it's a place. But she doesn't explain, doesn't come out right and say it's a state or a condition. She says it's a place where these people go who are saved, but they've got these sins, they can't get into heaven or something like that, and they go through all this torment of not being able to go there and all this sort of stuff at that point, until a certain point when they're purified of it from the prayers of the people still on the earth. We're praying for them to move on, that sort of thing, right? That's their fault when they say it's a place. They should say, should stop and think about it and say, no, it's a condition. Okay? It's because you're going to think, oh, it's a place. Okay, so we are thinking, well, okay, if they're in a position or a state or a condition where they've got to go through this torment, okay, where have they gone? Are they hanging upside down like bats on a pole in that one spot, or they're standing still, frozen in time, but going through all this punishments? Literally, logically, common sense says they must have to go. They've got to go somewhere. Yeah, they're not going to be standing in front of God for all eternity until that's finished, right? Until that purged or whatever. They must go somewhere. Okay, even if it's just to the left a bit or something, right? Away from them just a little bit. They're going somewhere. Okay, it's like today we figured out, hey man, how do you prove the existence of God? Okay, we're sitting out there talking to the cat because there's nobody else home, right? So you just, hey, talk to your cat. Yeah, nice kitty cat, whatever like that, Why are you attacking your brother or something like that, right? Just animal, conversation with the animal, right? There's nothing wrong with that. Okay, people talk to themselves, whatever. Like you're talking to someone on a video, through a video. You're talking to yourself, aren't you? Okay, until you get an audience, right? So we're looking at these weeds because we planted all these plants, flowers, ages ago, right? We dug up the weeds around them, right? And then suddenly weeds pop up. We believe that we got rid of all these weeds, but these weeds suddenly pop up around and underneath the plant. So we're thinking, okay, this weed has, this oxalis or whatever, not the other weed, has popped up, where did it come from? If we got rid of all those weeds around the plant and the dirt, whatever, right? Okay, it's like that curse of Adam, because he did that sin, the ground would be cursed, and up he'd have to plant his food, corn, whatever, in the soil, okay, to be able to eat by the sweat of his brow. He has to do this, and then these weeds would come up and try to choke hold them, all that sort of stuff, right? And then Christ refers to those who believed, they're planted in good soil, but then these weeds come up, either these wicked people step in and deceive them, all that sort of stuff, corrupt them, whatever, so they become choked by those lies, those deceptions, whatever, right? Okay, so they wither up and die. Similar sort of thing. So looking at this little oxalis or weed, right, that was growing, and pulled it out, we thought, okay, so this has come from somewhere. It's come from nothing, and we're trying to figure it out. Okay, maybe the dirt has something within that, something within that soil, okay, that's hidden there, micro germ or micro whatever, right? And after a certain period, it's like a bomb, it gets set off, and then this weed grows. Or else it's the plant itself has something in it, micro whatever, micro germ, whatever, that pumps up this weed, this little weed seed, whatever, and it grows. Because we're looking at this weed and its roots, right, pretty much growing. Okay, yeah, it's like, wow, where did this come from? This is something that's come from nothing. Okay, something behind it has caused this to grow, and people will make all these different excuses to blot out God, say, no, it's not God doing it, no creator, it's just evolution, Darwinism, man turned into a monkey and this weed grew. All these sort of rubbish, right? Okay, whatever they come up with, whatever they dream of. But then you get the experts that will actually explain it to you, so you actually have a better understanding of it. Okay, and it may not fit your thoughts, your concepts, your perceptions, right? And you go, oh, okay, so that's why. So that's what we're saying. You have to have a better understanding. You need to stop and you need to listen to people who are experts in those fields. Go and look at the research. Try to establish that their claim facts as facts, that the evidence is evident, it proves self-evident, it's irrefutable, infallible, etc. Okay, it's the real deal. You're not going to have 100% perfect evidence or fact, right? There's always going to be some flaw in it. Someone will find it, someone will debunk it, whether a common person or an expert. Usually a common person in the comments will say, but, yeah? And then you say, well, here's an explanation, here's a source to a link, or a link to a source, of this qualified person who says this. Oh, but, they could say that, they could be totally wrong, you might have said that 100 years ago, it's totally wrong. Yeah, in this particular religion, nothing is true. You can't believe everybody. It's like, well, then your leaders will be liars, your supposed mystics will be liars, your reverends or your fathers will be liars. So is the whole religion a lie? A bunch of liars? Is anybody in there that's actually telling the truth? That you can look at and say, well, this guy has proven that, right? No, that's a lie. Oh my gosh. It's just an example. It's an example only. It's only an example. Okay? That sort of thing. They're always, because it's in their fixed mindset to promote that particular religion that they're of, right? They're a follower, adherent. So they're defending it. So they come up with anything to undermine you. Okay? So no matter how much, like we have policies, honesty is the best policy, we believe in old-time chivalry, to err is human, to forgive is divine, all those sort of things, all those precepts, those policies, etc. in place. People always try to find a way, every now and again, or quite often, all at once, to try and undermine us. They'll say, no. And on this point, no. On that point, no. So you produce more evidence. No. You produce even more evidence. No. And it just keeps on going like that, right? No matter how much evidence you provide, how much truth that you find from experts, highly qualified, etc., facts, evidence, etc., they will always poo-poo it because they can, because they will, because they want to. Okay, it's all also to do with neurocognitive programming. We have a book we've just came across. It's called Dark Psychology or something 202, and it goes really deep. Okay, all these techniques. Okay, so we're quite well aware of somebody else that's quite popular in one of the organised religions. The way he looks, the way he talks, he does a side eye. We looked at NLP quite a while back, and the first lesson we learned from that, we didn't carry on after that, was looking at someone, but you're not actually looking at them. You're looking at them on the right side or the left side. You got your eyes on them and you're watching them, their body movements, their reactions, all that sort of stuff. And this particular person of this organised religion does that quite a lot. Neuro-linguistic programming, we're using certain words to install into these people's minds, which controls them to your way of thinking, what you're saying, your speech, etc. So they're drawn to it. Okay? And that's why these certain people, when we say, well, this guy is, from what we've found, is involved with this, he's been doing this, he's been doing, oh, no, he's a beloved. He'd never do that. You just got a hatred for him. Well, this sort of crap. But you bring them to links to those sources of the evidence, okay, or their claims that this guy is sorted, etc., and they still deny it because they've been programmed, linguistically programmed by this person to believe everything they say. They can make up a whole lot of non-scriptural crap or twist it, etc., and people will believe it because he's the beloved. He's the man, you know, this sort of stuff. They're too lazy to go and do the research, and if you bring it to them, the truth, the research, through your research, etc., they'll completely ignore it. They know it's the truth, but they'll ignore it in favour of that which they've been programmed, conditioned to believe. Okay, so we're going to leave that there. Hopefully you've enjoyed this. You know what to do. Go and say like. Subscribe to our channel, add your comments below, and we'll get back to you on those as soon as we can. And then go share this video with all your family, friends, and others.